Hey there, folks. I'm Matt Hansen,
And I'm John Johnson.
and you're listening to Planes, Trains, and Comic Books, the podcast where we discuss favorites we've reread, both classic and new comics we want to read, and everything else in between.
And here's the comic we picked this week.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Planes, Trains, and Comic Books. Today, we are dipping our toe into the world of Thor.
If we be worthy.
If we be worthy is right, sir. So we have not read a proper Thor comic. We've read Thor and the Avengers, correct?
Yeah, Thor helping out here and there.
Yeah. You know, like when he wants to drink mead on the Avengers or whatever.
Yeah.
But
he's like, I'm here on drunk on Earth. What's going on, guys?
actually, I'm trying to even think. Oh, Civil War. Probably Civil War is the only time we've encountered him, I think.
Yeah, well, and technically that's not even real Thor in Civil War. So
that's true. And then also, for details on that, read the go listen to the podcast. But yeah, I think we also read him in Infinity Gauntlet.
I think so. I think he's.
He has to be in that, right? So. There's whatever. I'm sure we've read him before, but I don't remember him particularly in anything. And then, so this is like the actual first Thor comic we've read in the podcast, and it's actually the first Thor comic proper that I've read in reality as well. Because, I don't know. He's a character that I like the idea of, but I've never read Thor by himself in the normal Marvel like regular universe. I've read Ultimate Thor in like Avengers. Ultimates. Yeah. Which is the Ultimate Avengers, basically. And I think he's in like the Fantastic Four Ultimate, maybe.
He's in a little bit. And this is where I'll go. Back when Matt used to work at the comic book store, this was one of the ones that I actually was reading a bit at the time. Like I picked up.
Just Thor.
I read,
not this
one particularly. No, not this storyline. But I read just some Thor titles as far as
it was called just some
doggone Thor. No, but I remember there's from Civil War and then the Secret Invasion stuff, and then Asgard gets destroyed, and then that's kind of we get that in the movies too. Asgard comes to Earth.
Right.
And it in the comics it's fun because it's like a floating like gigantic rock of a city over someplace in Oklahoma.
Okay.
Yes. There's some fun stuff with it. I remember enjoying it, and it's Thor when he got a little bit of an armor change. Like his helmet got a little smaller on his head, and the wings got small. I don't know. I liked his design. I think mainly that's why.
I think I know that one. Is that the one that I remember the art from it. Like I never picked it out myself, but like I just remember seeing the covers and be like, oh, the covers are cool.
Yeah, I had a bust of that one for a while. I don't know if you remember. He was like,
was it busty?
He was. He had his arms out and stuff. Anyway,
nice.
But yeah, so I have read some Thor because I've always liked the Norse speak or whatever.
Yes, and you're more or Old English or whatever. You're more in this Thor world as far as comics go. Like I said, I haven't read anything. I do want to read Thunderstrike, which is the shitty '90s.
That's right, where he's got
he's got like a mace or whatever, power mace or whatever. So like that seems fun, but like I've never read, and also I was like, hey, we should after reading this, I'm like, we should totally read the most popular Thor run, that I've heard of at least, which is Walt Simonson's Thor from like the early '90s, maybe '80s. Yeah. I can't remember exactly what it was, or like I don't know exactly what it was, but I think it's like either '80s or early '90s because it's definitely before Thunderstrike, but it's of that same run.
That's cool because I've never read any of that. Like of older ones, I only read what we read on the channel, and then like Captain America.
Okay.
So I wouldn't have touched any of that.
Okay.
And even going into like this one, like so we got on this one because the new Thor's coming out. We thought
new Thor's coming out.
In.
I didn't even say what the name of this title was.
Oh yeah.
So the one we are reading is the Thor Goddess of Thunder is the name of it. It is called Volume 1, even though I'm 100% sure it is not a Volume 1 because it starts off in the middle of a bunch of stuff going on. So, so I mean, it might say Volume 1 because Marvel decided to reboot it, but it is definitely appearing halfway into a storyline. So,
no, that's something that Matt and I talked about a little bit beforehand going into this. Was like, oh, yeah, because I also when we picked this up, I also downloaded another volume 1. I didn't read it yet. But
Of the same year.
Yeah, it's because with the new movie coming out, I wanted to kind of get a little background on everything. And so this will spoil that as far as this one doesn't have any gore, the God Butcher in it.
They mentioned him like once.
Yeah, they just mentioned, and that's because there's the original run. It's the same guys,
same author, same artist,
Jason Aaron.
Yeah, Jason Aaron,
and it's God of Thunder, the God Butcher.
Actually, I don't even know if it's the same artist, but it's the same writer.
Yeah, definitely the same writer, and that's from 2012. And that supposedly is a really good.
From what I've heard, this
too.
whole run of Thor is good. And continues to be good, from what I understand, with the new writer and stuff. So, I mean, I don't know anything, like I said, about Thor in general, like from reading the comics itself. So I had some things where I was like, is this how it normally is or not? But we'll get into that when we get there. So like we said, this is Thor, Goddess of Thunder. So it's when you might already know because you probably saw the Thor trailer. Jane Foster is Thor, Goddess of Thunder.
Yes.
She becomes worthy to hold the hammer, and Thor does not. So that is where this is starting off. Now, I will preempt this with, so they don't say what happened at this. They just start you off in the middle of the story. But there was an event called Original Sin that happened before this, much like Civil War. Following Civil War in 2006 or 7, Marvel decided we're going to have an event every year, and now they have like 4 events every year because they have no way of, keeping up those sales. They want to make sure they keep it up. So they had 1 event a year, and they eventually worked up to an event in 2014 or 15 that was called Original Sin. I don't know what it was about, but it had Gore, the God Butcher, in it apparently, because in that is where Nick Fury, while I don't know if what's going on, like the context of this, but Nick Fury whispers something into Thor's ear, and he becomes unworthy.
Yeah, he basically, the only thing I know of that is he gets information from the Watcher at that time frame that that makes it to where Thor is, it takes Thor down to like
right. Well, what
lowest.
He whispers, because I had to look it up because I'm like, what did he say? Was just Gore was right. So I don't know what the fuck Gore was right about. I didn't research that far in because
all gods must die.
Is that what he says?
Something like that, to the effect of that, I believe.
Well, why does that? Okay, whatever. I don't know. I thought it was going to be like, you suck. Like, you smell bad.
Your ponytail's stupid.
Yeah. Dude, you look stupid. Don't you know that? Yeah, I don't know. I don't, whatever. You smell and your mom's funny or whatever. Your mom dresses you funny. But like, yeah, just like, I don't know. I thought it would be cooler than that. At least,
I heard you're a mama's boy.
More something straight at Thor, which would make him feel unworthy or whatever. But
I honestly, I'm not 100%. I think it's along those lines, but maybe it's not.
Okay. Well, either way, that's the precursor to this. And if you don't know that, you're kind of like, what is going on? So we already knew that this was about the Goddess of Thunder, so we know that she's the main Thor in this. But the reasons for that aren't really said too much in this. They mentioned Nick Fury said something, and now Thor's unworthy. So, or they call him Odin's son in this because the name Thor as well is not an actual name; it is a title. So there you go. So, also in Marvel World or Marvel's universe, like I don't know if it's all gods' titles or just Thor. I don't know. But I mean, you would think Odin would know what he named his kid. I'm just saying, like, the idea that Thor is just a title that he bestowed on his son, but didn't give him a name at all, is a little weird. You know what I mean? If he had a second name and be like, no, that's your real name, and Thor is your,
is your
yeah.
No, so his name is Thor, but I guess it's also,
but it's not, because he says literally like it's not.
I know, but like I don't know, it's confusing.
They confused some shit in this. They had an idea, they didn't quite work out the continuity of why and all that, the reasons of why. So I'm a stickler for that shit. It just annoys me when I read something and it doesn't make sense in continuity or just in general, at least from what I know of the character. So had some problems with this one, but it wasn't terrible or anything. We'll go into it. So anyway, we'll start right away. We start off in the ocean, in the Norwegian Sea, where some divers have found something. They're working for a company named Roxxon, and they found there's like an underwater base. It's not even like a diver. It's like these guys are in I thought it was. I mean, it's a submarine, but like there's also like an underwater base there.
Yeah.
And they have found the skull of the frost giant's king,
Laufey.
Now, frost giants are traditional like Norwegian god characters or bad guys for the gods. You might have heard us talk about them in the Conan series that we read.
Yeah, the frost giant definitely has a daughter at some point.
Yeah, and she's hot as fuck. so
she's a temptress. We'll just say that.
Yeah, sure. So while these divers are going around, they spot something coming out of like a trench, I'm assuming, or something. They were like, there's nothing in this region on the map. And they're like, no, I'm getting readings of something. And so that's why they sent the submarine out, I guess, to check out what it was. And as they're like discovering, they're like, oh no, what could that be? It's bigger than the Himalayas and stuff. And it turns out it's a bunch of frost giants rising out of the ocean. To which I was like, do they live in the ocean? Is this like Hercules where the Titans come out of the ocean? They're locked in the, that's where like, right? Don't they?
Yeah, they like locked in the
Disney Hercules. I don't know about the real Hercules. Yeah. So it was like that. We're like, okay, like, and they're also saying like, oh, they don't tell you what these are, by the way, until like way later. So if you don't know anything about like Norse mythology or anything, you're probably like, what the fuck are these?
No, that's true. We only knew because again, we've seen like they're similar looking.
Well, I didn't know what they were. I was like waiting for them to say, and then all of a sudden I was like, well, they keep saying like it's cold around them. I'm like, oh, okay, they must be like frost giants or something because they're not saying what these are.
No, but they definitely have a similar look. They have blue skin. They have like the bones and armor.
But there's no context for them coming out of the water and stuff. I'm like, is this I thought maybe. Also, they don't really say who these guys are in the base until later on as well. So I was like, is this like, because the guys in the base are like, send the attack sharks to like stop these big blue men. And when I say big blue, like I said, they're taller than the Himalayas, they say. So I'm like, that's pretty fucking big.
Yeah.
And then so like, do you think a shark?
Attack sharks, maybe hundreds of attack sharks.
I guess, but these attack sharks have like armor or like mind control devices on their heads. So I was like, at first I was like, is this like Namor or something? Like, what is going on? Is this some kingdom offshoot or something? And then I realized, oh wait, no, this is just some company and these are frost giants. They don't say that for a very long time though. So, because they don't tell you what they're looking for. Once they actually look, if you know what frost giants look like, when they actually show them in like full scale, then I was like, okay, those have to be frost giants because they look like frost giants look traditionally. But if you don't know anything about that lore, you might be like, what the fuck are these?
What are these creatures? Yeah.
Yeah. So, then we get like, it's kind of nice. They give us a page of like catch up to like what has happened, and basically that's where they tell you like Thor has become unworthy. There was some fight going on, and Nick Fury whispered something in his ear, and then Mjolnir fell from his hands and landed on the moon, and no one's been able to grab it and raise it since then. There's no worthy person. And so Odin and his family are sitting there, and apparently also Odin has been missing or gone for a while.
Yeah, he put himself in like some kind of self-exile because I guess he felt bad for things that happened too.
Yeah. And while he was there, the Queen Freya took over and called herself the All-Mother, like he's called the All-Father is his title. And she made some changes politically. She got like a Congress going on. And I don't know if Asgardians get people to vote or whatever, but there's a Congress at least.
There's something, it's a little more, I guess.
Democratic? I don't know. I don't even know. They don't
really get into
oligarchic?
that.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Does she elect the Congress? Like what's going on? So they don't really go into it, but they try to make it seem like she's for the people more and stuff, and it's not a monarchy as much, even though she calls herself the All-Mother.
All-Mother.
So it seems like the buck would still stop with her at some point. But yeah, so she is there as well, and it seems like Odin is trying to take or trying to take the throne from her, but not in like the way you would think, right? They bicker. And that's about it. Like I was telling John, I'm like, I feel like Odin being Odin would be like, you dare take my throne from me? And then she'd be like, yeah, I fucking do. And then there'd be like a giant civil war. But no, Odin just kind of goes like, this is mine. And she goes like, and then they like kind of connive behind each other's backs on stuff. But they never like fully like have it out, which would be like a better thing, I think, for this, or have some tension with the Asgardian stuff in the background. Also, they call Asgard Asgardia now, and it's just one city, like a piece of a city. I don't know if it's always been this or what, because I was thinking it was more like a bigger thing, and it's called Asgard. Is it only called Asgardia because she's ruling it now?
I think she had it changed to Asgardia, and I think it's only. I don't know the whole, but I think something that had happened with in Original Sin and then with Gore is why it's so small now comparatively.
Okay, yeah, it seems small. So yeah,
because it's like the size
they
of
don't
a city
tell us
now,
what
like
happened.
yeah.
They just drop us in there. So, but anyway, Thor's all sad. He's all crying and shit.
He's sad.
Looking at Mjolnir like, that was his BF or whatever. That was his girlfriend basically. And
the hammer pulled you off. It sounds like you had an intimate relationship with this hammer.
Yes, basically that's what it is. So Thor is very not understanding of like why he's unworthy now, which I was also like, okay, if you got the whisper in your ear, you just hear that and all of a sudden you're not, like, if you don't have any awareness of why it would make you unworthy, how are you unworthy?
Wait a minute. You're telling me if we're fighting and I tell you I'm mad at you, but I don't tell you why I'm mad at you, you can't figure it out and like come around and be worthy of my...
Exactly. Like, how do I figure out what made me unworthy and then solve that issue?
That's what I thought of right away with this.
Yes. You might be onto something there, John. I don't know.
No, I mean, and not to, no, people do that sometimes. Just have a communication. But in general, I just thought that was really funny. It was like,
Are you saying that Mjolnir's a bitch? Is that what you're saying?
No. Oh my God. No. Wow. No, I just thought that was funny. It was like, he doesn't, he's not worthy.
Hold on. We all know that John doesn't like women, and that's like his main thing. So, just kidding.
No. Yeah. Anyway. So yeah, I just thought that was interesting too. Like you're saying, it just seems odd that he's not worthy, but he doesn't know why he's not worthy.
Yeah, he has no, like, it would. Did Mjolnir hear? You know what I mean? Like did he whisper to the hammer or something? Like, hey Mjolnir, God, your guy's an asshole. And then like,
Thor's not worthy.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, you're right. I think you're right.
Yeah. Thor had Stormbringer, and that was, I don't know if you knew he had a
Thor had a second hammer.
Yeah, exactly. What? Yeah. So like, there's this weird shit like that. Like, I don't quite understand why it happened, especially knowing what was said or like what was kind of said. It was just like, hey, like all gods die. It's like, that's not, that doesn't mean anything necessarily to Mjolnir. Like, it doesn't to me ring like something that would make you unworthy personally.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It seems like a personal thing that he's got to come back from. So I was telling John this earlier that, like, to read this specific comic, and you have to do this sometimes when you read comics in general, you kind of got to give it like a suspend disbelief on certain things. So this is definitely one part I had to go like to move forward and not be, annoyed or whatever, and like constantly questioning in the background. Just move on, accept and move on, and just keep a note in case something is explained later or something.
Yeah.
So that's how I felt about this. But everybody, except like Freya and stuff, try their hand at lifting the hammer. Odin can't do it, and Odin's surprised because he's fucking the guy that made it or whatever. So he's like, Mjolnir, how come you're not listening to me? And it's a whole thing. But yeah, like Thor is getting like, that was another thing in this. Thor's mom is like loving to her son, but then also like, but I'm happy that he's not Thor anymore. Like, there's a weird like,
there's a disconnect a little bit. It seemed.
Yeah, like just either make her like badass and like a god, where they don't care about their fucking sons and daughters and stuff. Like, there's a thing that happens in mythology where you don't care about, like, Zeus. He's like, oh, Hercules. But, like, he's not, like, he doesn't give a shit that much, unless something bad happens and he needs Hercules to help him.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. Like, I just want you to kind of, like, be more godlike, where you're disconnected from feelings and shit, because you're supposed to be, like, above it. Or if you are, you're, like, to the nth degree, where, like, Odin should be, like, fuck you. Like, I'm not letting you take my castle. And then she's like, no, fuck you. I'm going to take it. I'm going to keep it. And like, now they're all on my side because I gave them democracy or whatever. So like, or like a taste of some kind of different government, and, try to get it back. I dare you or whatever, like that would be more interesting But as it is, they just kind of bicker, and then she just kind of like connives behind Thor's back with the new Thor, and then also like behind Odin's back with stuff. And then he does the same thing where he's just like, guys, I think we should talk about, this whatever. Like why is she saying she's the all mother?
I'm the all father.
Yeah.
What's going on?
What's going on? I don't understand.
I have to interrupt because I usually don't do this in the middle of these, but I had to verify, make sure we had this because there's definitely, it felt like there's a little piece here. So what it is
wait, what's whispered?
What is
Okay.
So yeah, he's whispered Gore was right, and what Gore was right about is during the fighting of all of those other issues and things going on. There's actually Thor fights Gore over a period of a long time, when he's young, when he's like middle aged, and when he's old man King Thor, and he's like the last Asgardian left.
Okay.
Anyway, so the point is, Thor's had doubts, and the doubts have gotten worse and worse over all that time about like what the purpose of the gods is, because like obviously the gods are very good defending themselves and or defending over people and saving people. And Gore at one point, one of the big things in the battle, says, I'm right. He's taunting Thor. He says, that's why you fight so hard, why you try so desperately hard to seem noble, because you see just how petty and useless your kind truly are. You know what I know. The gods have never created or cared for anything except themselves. So
okay.
It just, it gives a tiny bit more of like, okay, so it's like he doesn't believe in himself, I guess, anymore. Like, what's the point of him being a god? And so because he doesn't believe, I guess that's why he can't lift it. I was trying to put it in more context. Like, there's got to be one little piece here. We're not
okay,
right.
That's a little bit more, that's better a little bit, but still, I just wish it was more like who Thor, because that's like all gods. Well, then why did Mjolnir select anybody? Because technically that's always been true.
Yeah.
Why then is the realization to Thor the thing that makes it?
Because Thor doesn't feel he's worthy, maybe.
But he's Mjolnir is said in this picks who is worthy.
That's true. I don't know.
So if that's the case,
if you don't believe in yourself, you're not worthy. You got to love yourself before you can love someone else.
All right, the Green Lantern ring. Oh, actually, this is the Green Lantern ring.
Yeah.
If you wait, no. Hold on a second. I'm having a mind fuck here. Okay, so in Green Lantern, if you are worthy, you have the ring. You can become unworthy, and the ring comes off of you. But in this, if all gods have always been, like you just said, what Gore reveals is that gods have always been uncaring and
piece of crap.
Yeah. Then why are they worthy at all in the first place? That was my thing. I can understand why Jane Foster is worthy because she might care about people or whatever. But why didn't it always go to someone like Jane Foster then? You know what I mean? Like, unless Thor was somehow different, but he didn't change, did he?
Yeah, he cares about people again more. I don't know.
They don't say that in that maybe he was an asshole or something and started being like fuck people in the arc before or whatever. Yeah. And then Mjolnir's, hey, you're becoming more godlike and you shouldn't be. I'm going to go to someone else. I don't know. But they don't explain any of that. Yeah, so if I'm reading this as my first introduction, I'd be like, what? Why? Like, what's going on? Yeah. Okay. Good on you for finding that out. Because I did look for it and I couldn't find the exact, this is what happens and why. It was always just he said this.
And that's it.
And that's it. I'm like, okay, what?
All right.
Okay, whatever. Okay. So anyway, everybody tries to pick up the hammer. Freya is ended up looking at it, and she's kind of looking at it like,
Perhaps it is time for a new Thor.
Yeah. And which is, a weird thing to say when you're like, son, I love you. And then he walks away and she's like, fuck you, Thor. But yeah, anyway, we find out, we cut back to the undersea facility where people are still alive. I didn't understand this either. I'm like, frost giants have, it's an underwater facility. So if you break into any part of that,
water fills in.
Yeah. Yes. And then you have a DEFCON 5 situation where everything's an emergency and things start crumbling because structure, competency is lost or whatever, so I don't understand how. They show the building's just fucked except one dome, and I'm like, yeah, that one dome would still probably be the next target or whatever. But as they're there, the people in there are just kind of what's going on? This is so weird. I'm cold. It didn't seem like they were very freaked out about these giants coming out of the depth that are as tall as the Himalayas, even though they don't look like that in the art. And then, and then like destroying the entire facility, and they're for sure going to die.
Yeah.
And then, so anyway, they're like, oh no, what's going on? And then, the Malekith, Malekith, the Accursed, who is the Dark Elves king, comes into play because he goes into he appears in the room magically because he's a magical elf, and much like a Keebler, he makes cookies and stuff. But yeah, he's
cookies
kind of
and magic.
In this, he's kind of like Loki-ish, we'll say. You know?
Yeah, he definitely doesn't come. Like I have read things before where he is pretty like kind of like a
evil.
Scarier, gruesome, evil character.
He's what's the word you're looking for? Evil.
Evil, yeah.
A bad guy.
Yeah, and in this, he definitely seems more like a trickster. It
a
was
menacing fellow who may or may not be on your side at any given moments, or it's at his whim or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, he's got some. Yeah, like you said, he's got some moments maybe in this, but in general, yeah,
yes.
He seems very like what's up his sleeve,
jokey, and yeah, it was weird. But anyway, he offers the people there, or like he starts asking the people like, "Where is it?" And they're like, "Where's what?" And then he like murders them one at a time, but like in a joking way, and then. Like he doesn't look scary, you know what I mean? Like he doesn't have the evilness in his thing, in his face or in his mannerisms or anything.
No, he's smiling a lot in this, and it,
but not like a Tim Curry, Home Alone 2 kind of way.
Yeah,
I
would think Legend, but sure.
Either way, or the Grinch Who Stole Christmas, where he smiles and you're like, oh shit,
you're like, oh please don't smile.
That's evil.
Yeah.
In this, he looks jovial, or
yeah,
having a good time. But yeah, he's killing these guys one by one, and he's asking where it is. And then Thor rides in because he left the moon in a sad way, but he apparently got a goat or a ram and decided to take an axe. That is also, I'm assuming, some kind of magical weapon.
It is an enchanted axe, yes.
And he rides into the ocean.
Yep, on his magical goat. So he's got two goats. They're magical goats. One's like Gnawtooth or Tooth. They both have something to do with teeth. I don't remember their names. Okay, but they are comic. They're supposed to be comic relief.
Sure. Okay. So I mean I'm on board with the goat and everything. That's not a problem. The underwater. I'm not sure how he's riding into it though.
We just imagine he's like shoots in from like from the Bifrost, just like. Psh.
But they don't show that though.
No, you're right.
They show him like bursting through the glass, basically.
Of the last dome.
Which I was like, isn't he murdering everybody? And then like the water comes in, but not real fast. And I'm like, aren't they at the bottom of the ocean? Like I was like, I don't understand where we're at. Are we like close to shore?
There's magic that's slowing it down.
Okay, I guess. I don't know. But either way, he attacks Malekith, and Malekith is too much for him without his hammer because he doesn't have all his powers without the hammer. And I was like, okay, he's still like a god though, right? So, I mean, he should be somewhat strong, I guess. But he's got his axe.
Yeah. Well, the axe is supposed to be enchanted of some kind, too.
Yeah, I mean, it's working. I mean, it's not getting broken or anything by Malekith. But in this fight, Malekith ends up chopping off his arm, which is the big, like, moment. But it's, issue 1, so I'm sure that's not going to be the end of Thor. It would be better. This would have been way better if they had ended this issue like they ended the Animal Man issue.
Oh yeah,
where he's just fucking bleeding out and the water's coming in and everybody's dying. And
Malekith's like, all right, see ya.
Yeah, and he's like, grabs his arm and it's all like mangled and shit. Because like in that artwork from Animal Man, there's like a stump and like you can see sinew and it's just gory. And this just looked, like you cut a nice, perfect cut of meat through the bone.
Yeah,
which is a magical sword. I'm giving that to you, but still, it just didn't seem like gory enough or whatever for like the end of this. But either way, Malekith, after chopping off Thor's arm, does he what happens to Thor? He
starts this, I guess, sink. I don't know if he throws him through the window, but he sinks down.
How do you throw someone through the window that's already full of water?
Magic.
Okay, there's this physics in this that I didn't get.
It looks like he gets like thrown down to the bottom like of a trench.
Okay. Okay, once again, suspending disbelief, I'll buy it, whatever. So his arm is left there, and
no. Malekith is gonna grab his arm.
I know. I was about to. Let me finish my fucking sentence, John. I was gonna say, but we find out later that Malekith did take it with him, and so, but he found out also from the last guy that ends up being killed that Roxxon, the company, has it stored in another facility somewhere. So Then we cut to the moon, where someone is going over to the hammer and picks it up.
And it says there must always be a Thor.
Right. This was also a problem with me. So until she picks up the hammer, she's not Thor yet, right? So is she human Jane Foster standing on the face of the moon in space?
Well, I mean, they kind of made it seem like when all of the Asgardians were standing there, like maybe there was like a dome over the...
They don't show that anywhere.
They don't show that there, but they showed earlier when all the Asgardians there, it kind of looked like there was some kind of dome over where the hammer was.
Okay. Sure, John.
Yes.
We'll give it to you, I guess. Anyway, I was just like, wait, she's not Thor yet. How's she talking?
How's she talking and breathing?
Why is her lungs not being pulled out of her fucking mouth or whatever from vacuum? Yeah, so she picks it up, and all of a sudden, and this is the other thing, you're not supposed to know this is Jane Foster when you read this. So we know because we saw the fucking Thor commercial and just in pop culture in general. But reading this for the first time, you are not supposed to know that this is Jane Foster. So...
No, and you wouldn't know from it because when they show her in her full Thor regalia, I mean, she's blonde. She's got her mask covers everything.
Jane Foster's blonde, isn't she?
I thought she's brunette. Is she blonde?
I don't know.
I don't remember. It's been so long now. I don't remember. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, but she has a full face mask that goes down to her, just below her nose.
Yeah.
And then I gotta say, I mean, the design of this character is fucking great. Like as far as characters go, I mean, based on her design, I would read this. Just if you saw that picture,
she's badass.
Yeah, if you saw that image, I would buy the comic based on the cover.
Yeah,
you know, I'd flip through it and go, oh yeah, it's fine. The interior art's good, and then I would buy it because, like, yeah, she just looks very, like the costume is very, very cool. I'll say that. Like, yeah, she's got like a chest plate that goes around her neck too, so it's kind of like a full vest chest plate kind of thing. Sleeveless.
It's sleeveless, but yeah, I was gonna say it is that's one thing they always say about, especially in movies. But they're like, oh, they cut the female armor down, like so you could still see cleavage and stuff. It's like this is a very much like this is realistic armor for her to have. Sure,
I guess whatever. It's comic books, so I don't personally care about that. But
yeah,
whatever.
Well,
this was very much one of those comics, so I get why they did it. Okay, this was in the time when they were trying to, it was still like this, but they were trying to like go against the 90s stereotypes or whatever, or just the stereotypes in general of female costumes in comics, which is fine, whatever. This one is one of the better designs is what I'm saying. Because other ones are just like, it looks like garbage even though, great, she's covered, but can you make it visually appealing still or whatever? Like not in like a sexual way, but just in general. And this has
make it look like a cool superhero suit.
This looks fucking cool. So that's what I'm saying is, regardless if it's a female or whatever, this is a cool costume. And so that she picks it up, becomes Thora or Thor. Some people call her Thora.
Oh, maybe that.
Not in this issue or this later on. I heard her referred to as Thora, so I'm like, okay. Are we going back on that or not? I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but
yeah, it's interesting because they say like so she takes on the mantle and it's Thor, God of Thunder, but then she's Goddess of Thunder, which is fine.
They call her the Goddess of Thunder, which I was like, so you're still acknowledging that she's not the Thor, like guy version, or like that it's still like she would just be the God of Thunder, is what I thought. If it's just the mantle. Yeah,
so they did. That was a little confusing. That I mean, like it doesn't,
because it's kind of like actor and actress.
It's fine.
You can call a woman an actress too, or an actor, right?
Yeah.
So,
and they try to do that more now. So,
but I'm just saying, like, it should just be Thor, God of Thunder.
Yeah.
Either way, if it's trying to do the message that it's trying to do, but it doesn't, which is weird to me. I don't know. I just thought it was kind of like weird that they did it. I don't know. It felt like they're trying to have their cake and eat it too.
Yeah, it's just weird to say that like they're basically saying that like the Thor is the title, but then they also changed the title a little bit too. So I don't know. It's weird that like you said, it's like having a cake and eating it too. It's like, I don't know.
It's like we want to celebrate that she's a woman.
Yeah,
but we also want to make sure that
that. I guess I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, well, it's saying she's just as strong as a man or whatever, or like can hold this title of a god, of a war god or whatever. But then, at the same time, like, and we want you to ignore the fact that she's a woman there, but then also she's a goddess of thunder. Like, that was just weird mixed messaging to me as someone who's like, it's supposed to be like, if you're gonna go do it all out or whatever. Just she's Thor.
She
god
is
of thunder.
Thor god of thunder now. Yeah,
because it still differentiates it. Which I'm like, don't, if you're trying to like not separate it and be like she's just as good or whatever, then don't differentiate it at all or whatever. So whatever. That's a nitpicky thing, but we're gonna get into a little bit of the, I guess, politics or whatever of this a little bit, just because it is in this book. But I mean, personally, I don't really care as long as the story's good. And I felt like my issues with this are with the storytelling more than anything else. So, whatever. We're going to move on because we spent too much time on this. But anyway, she picks up the Thor, or she picks up the Thor. She picks up the hammer. She's kind of like astounded at the changes or whatever. And this is where we first get the concept that when you are Thor, you have your own thoughts as Jane Foster, and also Mjolnir, and I guess the god of thunder, Thor, has a separate thought structure.
Yeah. It very much in the, like you said, Old English Norse.
Yeah, so when she talks as Thor, I fucking love it. Like, where she's just like, has thou forgotten, like, forgotteneth the way of, whatever the fuck. Like, I thought, wow, she's really fucking badass in that. And then they throw in, like, cutesy fucking thought bubbles, which are weird to me. Like, I don't know. The way Jane Foster talks is very much in line with how a lot of comic books are nowadays, where it takes away all seriousness from what's going on. Like, I had the problem with Final Crisis Dark Crisis a couple weeks ago from DC, where, like, the Justice League has been murdered and killed. And like Jonathan Kent, Superman's son, is now trying to find and recruit a new Justice League to take on the evil. And like him and those new people are like, "What's going on, buddy? You having fun? I'm having a great day too." Anyway, I was just wondering if you wanted to join the Justice League I'm trying to put together for no particular reason. Like there's no seriousness. It's not like, you heard what happened. They murdered my dad.
Exactly. And we need to to revenge.
No
them.
one has any emotion towards that at all. And I'm like, why are we joking? Why are we saying jokes? Like she jokes in this a lot as Jane Foster, but I'm like, you can still have Jane Foster have her own thoughts, but it doesn't have to be jokey because it's in the middle of a battle. It's like Spider-Man's quips, except it's not Spider-Man. So it's kind of weird that you would do that. To me, it takes away the badassness of the character, which I'm like, if you're supposed to be showing her as badass, just make her badass. Much like Odin. If he's fucking Odin, all-father, then have him pull out his spear and be like, fuck you, I'm taking this thing over. I want her to be like, fuck you, I'm Thor, god of thunder. Watch me kick your asseth.
And that's true, because when Thor is fighting people, Thor isn't making those.
Yeah, it is. Usually, you're not hearing Thor's dialogue where he's like, man, I wish I had some mead right now.
Yeah.
I wish I was drunk and fucking women and wenches or whatever. Yeah. Like, he doesn't have that at all. So it's weird that they established that in this. But also give her like a jokey, for lack of a better word, it's that like Joss Whedon quippy talk. No, I just mean like, like in Buffy, everybody's got a quip, and then when he writes comics, a lot of people have quips, and then the people who read those comics or read those comics in the early 2000s and stuff liked that. Now they're writers, and everybody is quippy. Everybody's quippy. It's not just Spider-Man. It's not just one every now and then, or these characters that I developed my own. I'm writing Thor, and it would be funny if Thor said, I'm hungry for a sandwich in the middle of a battle or whatever, Like,
that's it. I guess I don't read as much newer comics because that does seem odd. Like, yeah, because everybody has their own personality. So if every character is the comic, like, you can have people have moments.
Right. But like generally, if you're having a battle where, I don't know, the end of your world is going to happen, you probably shouldn't have a quip of like a thought bubble that says something that just takes all the tension.
Here we go again.
Yeah, obviously she's not taking it seriously if she's like, having some of these thoughts in the middle of battles that should be. I mean, you're fighting frost giants for the first time. You know what I mean? Like, because that's what happens. She goes to Earth to find frost giants or whatever that were attacking Midgard. They call it, but Earth is Midgard in this, in Thor or speak or whatever. And so, and that was also, she goes to Earth and finds a bunch of frozen people who. Yeah, I guess we don't see this battle, but apparently there was a battle with frost giants. They froze the Avengers and other Asgardians. We didn't see that at all.
Nope.
We just
A huge battle that took place, and we didn't see any of it.
we just hear her be like, "Huh, that was crazy, crazy battle." So like I just thought that was weird that they don't show that at all. And then she like goes to fight like the dog. What is it? The dog of one of these frost giants or something, and doesn't. I mean, it. They're joking like, haha, a woman Thor or whatever, which, okay, that's fine. Understandable. They'd be like, who the fuck is this? This isn't real Thor.
And then she, destroys it, and they're like,
all badass. But this is where like the, when she's like, I am the goddess of thunder. One, it should be God of thunder. But then she's saying right after that, as she's like, I am the goddess of thunder, and like showing her might. In her mind, she goes, I am. Holy crap. Which took away all the badassery of that line to me. Like, just be badass. I don't know why, or like have that line later on. Like, I can't believe.
Yeah,
like,
like
this
after
is so
the battle.
weird. Yeah,
after the battle. Then she's like, holy crap, I just did that.
I can't believe I did that.
I'm the goddess of thunder now? Holy crap.
Yes. It just feels weird in the middle of a battle.
Yeah.
When this tension is built where you're seeing her fight for the first time, it just feels weird to have the tension break from inner thoughts that don't need to be there, and aren't important to the story essentially, but for the character building they are, or they could be. So like have them at a different moment when battles aren't happening and you're fighting for your life, because that's not usually what you think of when you're fighting frost giants. At least I would think is you're like, holy shit, I need to kill these things because they're very
I'm
strong.
fighting for my life.
Yeah. So, or I'm trying to defend. I mean, they obviously froze all these other gods and everything. So, okay, they're formidable. So, if you want to take away all the formidability of an opponent, make them, or have your character talking like, clueless speech or whatever, like, wow. But not quite that bad, but what I mean.
But
yeah. So then, so she fights the frost giants, does her Thor, God of Thunder stamp down on them, and does a pretty good job, kicks their ass. And she ends up fighting them. I this was another thing where I'm like, I'm not sure exactly where she is compared to where the Roxanne is.
I don't know if she I don't know if one gets away maybe, and that's what she's
I don't know. They don't
but...
say. They don't. Once again, we don't say. She was fighting them in one area, and then all of a sudden we're at the Roxanne Corporation headquarters, which is alone somewhere in the middle of nowhere.
It looks like they say it's like floating, but it also looks like it's floating on a giant pillar of ice. So it's hard to say.
Don't know.
It was a little weird.
Don't know. Anyway, we get there and they fight. She fights and throws the frost giants into this building where the Roxanne head guy named Dario Ager is, or Ager.
Yeah. He's the world's wealthiest psychopath, and we found out also he is also part Minotaur.
Part Minotaur. That comes into play because later on, when there's a fight or whatever, it's a big thing. So while he's running away from like the frost giants breaking through the building, he doesn't seem too concerned. I guess he's figuring I'll get out of here and no one else will or whatever, so who cares. But Malekith shows up and is like, I want the thing you have, and I know it's here, and so do the frost giants, which is why we're all here. And it turns out that Malekith is working with the frost giants. He made a deal with them, told them, I can get you the skull of your king if you... I don't remember what he gets in return, but...
I guess he gets like dominion over some realms or something.
Yeah.
And it's interesting too because like so they make the frost giants like powerful points, and then also kind of like they're like not quite, I guess they're not sure what they're doing.
They're stupid.
Yeah. Well, so and like part of me
not like a good way, like I don't know.
Because they do make a point of saying that like so Laufey was their leader. Laufey's dead. They're trying to go after his skull because his skull is endued with some powers or something. And like the leader of them now, it's like something.
Skarsgård.
And he says specifically like we've been down our luck for a while. We don't I'm leading, but we don't really have like real like good inner communication and like getting things done. And that's why Malekith is like, well, I will help you if like.
Now let me combat that. Mm-hmm. What you just said with, she just walked by a bunch of frozen other Asgardians and the Avengers that they defeated. So obviously, they can put a plan together where they defeat.
But that's with Malekith, I'm sure. I'm sure
they don't show him.
But maybe he helped with that.
But they're frozen with ice, which is not his power. That's their power. So
That's true.
And he's here now. So I don't know. What happens is, this is why we're like humming and hawing right here, because the frost giants just sit there and talk for a really long time as they kind of try to fight her. When Thor comes in and the Roxen guy goes into his room that's behind adamantium / unobtainium / mystical barriers, like a safe room, and the hammer gets locked in there. And this would be the perfect time for her to have to like, holy shit, I'm like separated from the hammer now. And apparently that's where all of like a lot of their powers come, or all of her powers, I guess, come from, because she's not a god at all. So, okay, that's hard to say too. Okay, Thor is a god behind just being god of thunder,
yeah,
which is his mantle. So she is a human. So without that, with it being separated from the hammer, not in her hand, I guess, or maybe because of the they don't say, but I'm assuming it's just because it's not in her hand. She starts to lose her powers over time. So
not right away, but yeah, like you can tell it's.
But like her mask starts to drop, like it's a mystical mask or whatever over her face, and same with her armor. So it starts to fade away as the longer she's away from them, or from the hammer. But the whole time, the frost giants are like, "We should kill her." I don't know. Now you're ours. You know, like
you made a perfect example of what the scene was, and I was like, yes. It's like the 3 trolls from The Hobbit when they're like arguing like what to do with the dwarves and the Bilbo.
But they don't. This is not that same scene.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you. Like it seems weird that you have all these frost giants fighting and stuff, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Huh, what do we do here?"
Yeah, and like we're just gonna sit and talk, and like hum and haw about it, and like not really do anything. It just felt really weird, and so. Eventually, Malekith comes out, and they're like, bring Malekith to her, in front of her, and they talk, and he's like, oh, this is weird, goddess of thunder, that's weird, or whatever.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, you're missing your hammer too. That seems to be a trait of Thor's here recently.
Yeah. This is also a thing. So, can Thor call... I didn't know this, I'm just asking for real. Can Thor call thunder and lightning and stuff without the hammer?
Yes.
Okay.
But that's not established like... that's not originally it. Like that's then it's later on that
but it is a thing.
He is more than his hammer. Yeah.
Okay, that's why I was at. But is he though? Because
yes,
we just established that he's not.
Yeah. Well, see,
this is my confusion with this comic,
and that's where it starts to get blended because I'm also blending like MCU stuff and comic stuff now.
You can't do that. And don't do that. We're just talking about the comics in general. But okay, so that's why I asked, because one of the frost giants eventually freezes her because Malekith says do it or whatever. Yeah. And so one of the frost giants eats her and then gets electrocuted from the inside, and like she bursts out of him with electricity, which I was like, I thought you needed the hammer for that. But I just thought that. I didn't, I'm assuming, because also she keeps saying I'm losing my powers if I'm away from the hammer. So she just used a shit ton of it, with the hammer there.
Yeah.
Then Malekith, being king of the elves, can just walk through this warded adamantium unobtainium door or whatever. Is that what? No, I'm sorry. I said unobtainium. I meant
vibranium.
Vibranium. That's what I meant. Sorry, I got my worlds colliding.
How dare you, sir? I didn't catch that the first time either.
Yeah. So anyway, when he goes through the door, he sees Mjolnir there, trying, like, it's just kind of pushed against the door, like, I'm trying to get through, but it's not really able to do anything. And then what's the name of the guy again from Dario. Dario. So yeah, he like we said, he's part Minotaur. So as Malekith's like, give me what I want, he's like, come and get it. And he transforms from a human that looks like Christian Bale in American Psycho to a Minotaur person, and like a full Minotaur though. So I guess that's like the half is like he could turn human. I guess, yeah. To which I was like, why would this be a problem for? Like, why would he think he can stop the king of the elves?
King of dark elves versus, like, I mean, I guess we are supposed to assume he's magical Minotaur, right? And like, so maybe he's got some otherworldly powers on top of that. But still, it's like, it's very odd.
Yeah,
I guess we just don't know the background of that character, and we'll leave it at that. Maybe.
I mean, they kind of give him a fighting chance when they say like, like he's got a sword or an axe or something that's like this. Like someone said I couldn't hit them with this either, and it would hurt them, but I killed them with it. So check this out. And it seems like he hits Malekith with it, and Malekith's like but then later on Malekith isn't hurt at all or anything. So I was like, okay, like what? So in the meantime, like the Frost Giants have finally started to attack Thor, outside the door. And she's like, oh shit, I do need my hammer. Like without it, I'm losing power for realsies. And her mask starts to fade and everything. And then she starts to yell out as like she starts to change. And finally, Mjolnir gets a smart idea or whatever.
I guess it starts backing up from the door.
Yeah, like it gets momentum, which you would think it would have already done because I don't know. But apparently it gets more momentum because now it's able to burst through the door right as the Frost Giant is about to stab her with a knife.
I think that's also because she started to open the doors with her hands. I think it's a combination.
Is that what happened? Okay.
Because she grabs it and it looks like the metal starts to come apart. So I think it's a combined of her pulling.
Okay, I see that now, but I misread it when I read it.
Yeah,
because I thought the hammer just burst through.
Finally, yeah.
But yeah, I get that. Okay, she was opening it. Okay, made more sense now. But still, I was just like, all right.
It took a lot.
It took a lot for that hammer to realize maybe I should hit it really hard. Like. Also, is it just the doors or are the concrete walls, which are probably softer than the doors? Just
no, because the doors are the magical. They're part of the magical doors.
Yeah, but why don't they just go around the door?
Oh, touche.
And smash through the concrete wall.
Maybe, I don't know.
I'm just saying, it looks like concrete. Maybe it's metal. I don't know.
Maybe the inside of that room is lined with
it's lined with foil.
It's lined with unobtainium.
Yeah,
because it's not. That's not here.
Anyway. So back. She gets her hammer back. She's more powerful, or she's powered now. She starts going into the room where she, or the skull is being revealed to Malekith. Like he broke up in the box that it's being held in. They have like a warehouse that looks like the Indiana Jones.
It does,
temple,
yes.
or not the temple. The end of the Raiders of the Lost Ark where they hide the Ark or whatever.
Yeah,
it's like that. But then there's like a giant box with a big skull of the Frost Giant in there.
A giant crystal skull, you could say.
Yes, you could say. I don't know why you would say that though. It doesn't make any sense. But
it's my favorite Indiana Jones, Matt.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The fourth one.
There's no fourth Indiana Jones yet. It hasn't come out yet. Anyway, so Malekith is like, fine, I'm going to take it now that I can see it. And as he's about to like get it, I guess, and like beat the Minotaur, Thor bursts in and she throws the hammer and smashes it into a million pieces. And then Malekith is like, oh, I can't believe you did that. Do you know what you just did, you stupid woman? Like, if you thought they were angry before, now they're going to be really angry. I'm like, weren't they angry? Like,
they tried to kill her. I think they were pretty angry at her.
I thought they were full-blown angry or whatever. But either way, he's like, yeah, now it's really going to be bad. We never really touched back on this. I'm hoping it comes back later, but they never really say why, because this is totally negated later on when we find out that was a fake crystal skull.
A fake. I got you to say.
Oh my
crystal
God,
skull.
John!
That was a fake Laufey.
I can't
skull.
believe I said it was a fake Frost Giant skull, and he just had and the guy from Doxon, Dario or Roxon. Doxon. What a great band.
Doxon Mario.
Great 80s band.
Yes.
But yeah, the Dario from Roxon had a second skull that Malekith also knows about later on, right?
I don't know if he learns about it or if he tells him about it, because they make a deal now, and he's like, hey, like, why don't you give me the skull?
Yes, they make a deal and it all works out because later on he gives it to the Frost Giant. So
yeah.
I was like, this line I was intrigued by, like, ooh, what is that? But then it doesn't, like, it just fizzles out because, oh, that was a fake skull. I was like, they should have kept this as the main storyline where she broke it because she's new. As she doesn't know all this lore.
That you probably shouldn't have broken.
I'm just gonna say this. I don't know if she knows all the Norse god lore and history that has gone on between them because she's a human, which would be a cool aspect of the character. But they don't really go into that at all. Like if Thor, having grown up with the gods, knows all this past and history, but she's just like, I'm the new Thor. Check this shit out, and she doesn't know that if I break the skull, that opens a curse to the Pandora's box.
It breaks some 10,000-year truce or something. Who knows?
Who knows? But that could have been a thing that I maybe built tension in this specific story arc. maybe it's better later on. I don't know. But I thought this trade itself had a little bit of weird, just like left hanging stories and stuff, or just not enough tension building. So that would have been cooler, I thought. So anyway, then right when, he's like, you stupid woman, I can't believe you broke it. Do you know what you've done? Thor shows up and he's got a metal arm. He looks like Jax from Mortal Kombat. It's a metal arm, and he's got his axe again. He doesn't have his. Oh no, his ram is there. So he's got his ram still, and he's like, "Who is this woman? Why is the hammer with her? You've stolen my hammer, woman." So he's all angry because this is the first time he's seen the hammer not on the moon,
Yep.
and he's pissed. So then we find out, like we cut back to the couple hours ago, where Thor wakes up in Asgardia with his arm cut off, and he's like, "What happened? I was under the ocean, and my arm was cut off by Malekith." And they're like, "Oh, don't worry, we pulled you out of there, no problem. There was no issue with that, and we wrapped your arm up, and now we're having the dwarves build you a new arm."
The same dwarves that use the mold for
Peter Dinklage.
Mjolnir. Yeah, Peter Dinklage character.
Yeah, he builds him a new arm that's a better arm. Why would you even want
It's better,
arm?
it's stronger arm. They can rebuild him.
Exactly. And this is where you get like kind of the infighting between Odin and Freya more and stuff, and you see like he's mad that or Odin is mad that he can't get his throne, or
he can't
get why. Not that he can't. He's taking it back. Like people are listening to him as the All Father now, but he's like, why? Why did she even think that? And like, why does she still say she's the All Mother?
And he's still very much like, and why couldn't Thor pick up the hammer? Why couldn't I pick up the hammer? It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Like, none of this makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm really upset.
Yeah. Not taking up his spear and be like, I'll fucking take what I want. I'm Odin.
He just like crosses his arms and like, I'm upset.
Yes, exactly. Disappointment. Disappointed. So anyway, then we come back to Roxanne now, where we see Thor with his arm, metal arm, his new arm. And he's like, talking down to Thor it's weird because I'm like Thor and Thor. But
Thor and Thor.
So he's talking down to female Thor or whatever.
Yeah, well, why don't we say Goddess Thor.
of Thunder,
Goddess Thor,
there we go.
and then
Okay.
Thor. Here you go.
We'll say Goddess Thor because that's what they call her in the comic. So, or that's what the title of the comic is. So, okay. So Thor is talking to Goddess Thor and be like, who are you? What have you done with my mother? Because Freya is also missing. So they, like we said, this was, no one knew who this Thor was, or the Goddess of Thor was. So, or Goddess of Thor, Goddess of Thunder was. So, they're kind of putting it out there like, oh, maybe it's his mom because no one's seen her since this happened. And then like Malekith and the Minotaur are like, we're cool now, right? We're gonna like head out of here while you guys talk.
Yeah, I did like that. They were like having a conversation. They're like, okay, so Goddess Thor and Thor are here now. Like, you guys good? Do you want to go and talk, or do we need like who's gonna leave first?
I mean,
like, what's going on?
It's funny, but also they're up to some world-ending shit.
Yeah,
why are
true.
we having this argument? I mean, I could see why he would have the argument, Thor would, because he's all like pissed off or whatever. But like, why is she not like step away and try to like get them? And then there's like a battle where he's fighting her and she's fighting them, and like they disappear before, like she doesn't even, I know they have a battle. I'm just saying, I wish it was like her not just fighting him, but like they don't let the bad guys leave.
Yeah.
Without saying anything, and there's just like we're gonna head out.
It's like in the Game of Thrones where the brothers finally fight the mountain and the hound.
Yes.
And then the queen just like goes down the stairs next to them.
Gotta walk out. Yeah, I don't know. I just thought like if I was the new God of Thor and Malekith is obviously up to some fucked up evil. Maybe I'm a little too harsh on the scene thinking about what just happened, because she thinks the evil is gone because the skull is crushed.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why she's like, okay, whatever, it's done with them. Okay, I'll give it that. I'll give it this one. I would just, because there's little things like that, I would like pick up on anything that didn't make sense to me and then go super critical on it or whatever. So I'm being extra critical on this because there just seems to be like continuity flaws in the thought process of this story arc. So forgive me if I'm not analyzing it correctly.
How dare you? I thought you were just a company shill, And and now we know you're not.
Yes.
You're not paid by Marvel like I am. Obviously,
John.
which is why we have 350 some followers.
Yes.
Anyway, their fight is really cool though. I do like the little back and forth, and it's very much like she's like, calmeth thyself,
Yeah.
and he's
well,
like,
they actually have the thing. It was funny. Does she says calmeth thyself?
yeah,
And which is funny because that's kind of what like it's reverse roles of like what happens in movies and bad relationships where the guy's like, "Whoa, babe, calm down."
yeah.
And she's like, "What'd you say to me?" That's
Because
kind
this
of
is exactly what happened.
Yeah, that's basically what happened.
How
So
dare you?
yeah, and then like the frost giants are still attacking in some of this, and so like during that fight, Mjolnir, like she throws Mjolnir and he sees it like do something he's never seen it do before. Which
Yeah.
I'm like, how is that possible? All she did was throw it, and
It's
it like did a bounce around pinball.
But it
thing.
did a cooler bounce around.
I
thing,
guess.
and then he's like,
And
"Oh,
then he thinks it's coming back to him because he's like, yes, come back to me. And then it flies past him just like in the movie trailer and goes into her hand. And he's like, oh, it's never done that before. I've never seen it do a move like that. I am not worthy and you are. I thought this was a really hard turn that wasn't really quite earned or whatever, but whatever.
He just accepts it right away again. He's like, "Oh, okay, well."
Yeah, and he's just like sad. It's kind of like, like it's his girlfriend. He saw. It's like, okay, you're super mad that you found out your girlfriend's cheating on you. You go confront her, and then you find out that the guy that's dating her now is a pretty nice guy. He helps kids out on the weekend or something, and you never did that. And like,
he's kind of cooler than
and then
me.
you
Actually,
turn around and go, I guess I get it. Like no one's gonna do that. Like, and especially not. I would argue this: Thor, God of Thunder, as we know, is like what's it called? A brass ass,
brazen.
Brazen. There you go. That's the word. A brazen asshole who likes to drink mead and
Very
thinks he's fucking
hard-headed,
pompous.
very-
Yeah. I didn't see this turn happening, and it did, especially not this fast. So like the way it does, I was just kind of like, all right. And he kind of accepts it and is like, all right, I guess. Like it hurts me inside, but like you do you. You fly away, bird. Like, fly away, Mjolnir. I love you, and I always will. Like it's just like a weird turn that happens. But then because of that, they team up together and they fight the frost giants. And
I do like that she's like, I'm glad that you accept that. And she realizes like he's sad and stuff. She's like, and she's basically like, it's thou will be okay or whatever. And she kisses him and he's like, you're not my mom, right? She's like, no, why would I be your mom? And he's like, oh, thank God. That makes sense.
Yeah,
like, why would you?
I did think that was funny because of the the like mystery, right? They were kind of saying in this issue it might be the mom, so that would have been funny. Not that if it was the mom, but just the idea that like he thinks it's the mom and she
then like because it's not a
full
peck.
open
It's
mouth
like
kiss
a
too.
hey
Yeah,
baby.
yeah, on the lips, open mouth. So yeah, and then I thought the guy from Roxxon was gone already, but apparently they just hung out in the background while this was all going on.
I guess
even Malekith, because we cut back into that room and Malekith is now standing there with the Roxxon guy, and then Malekith disappears, and then Roxxon guy Dario is just standing in a bathrobe, like he took off his clothes. I guess because the Minotaur
ripped his clothes off.
So he hulked out, and he now he's naked under the bathrobe.
Yeah. So he's got robes in the room just for that occasion.
Yeah. And then we cut, and then so now that's all over, and they're like, okay, well, the bad guys disappear or whatever, and then Thor and
Goddess.
Okay, Thor and Goddess Thor, go back to where all the people were frozen, like the Avengers and stuff, and they unfreeze them, and then they all get to meet the new Thor, and I liked this part where, like, she says, I don't know, I guess this is her saying it out loud, because it's in quotes. So she flies away as everybody's like, wow, great, like she seems cool or whatever, and she's like, I am the mighty Thor, like I can't wait to find out like what my powers are and stuff. So like I thought that was cool, like the image of her smiling as she's flying away was kind of a nice image. But that is the end of the like main story arc here. Like there is one more issue which we will talk about. It differentiates itself because it has a different artist, not a different writer. And also the tone of it is much different. I don't understand why they went with this on this next issue, but I don't know what you felt about it, but like I was just like, what is this? And this one is like the controversial issue or the main thing that people bring up when they talk about this. And I'm not really going to go into the politics as far as what's going on. It just, to me, did not feel like the character Thor, mostly. Like, or even the character bad guys, like what the bad guys are doing. So we'll talk about it when we get into this one issue that's left. So the main arc ends with, Thor being like, I'm the new goddess, and it was great, and I get to find out more about myself. So then we cut to Earth, and she's now fighting a bank robber. I don't even remember what his name is.
It's Absorbing Man.
Okay, Absorbing Man. So she's fighting him, and it looks like he broke out of prison recently because he's got like prison pants on, but like 50s prison pants on. So like the stripes, like the Beagle Boys or whatever, So he's fighting her, and he's even got like a ball and chain, like a chain gang.
Yeah,
like the 50s. So
that's part of his thing. I remember.
Is okay.
Yeah,
I was like, I don't even know who this is. So it seems weird. Like he just broke out of prison, but then he didn't. Because later on they say like, oh, he's going to go back to prison, and that's fine. We need to go back there again. And I'm like, why? But anyway, he's fighting her, and
it's him, and then I guess they're married. His wife,
Titania.
Titania.
So who is or Titania? I don't know.
Titania or Titania.
Either one.
It's close.
She is a She-Hulk villain, and I know that because I just read the She-Hulk #1 issue that came out a while ago.
Yeah.
And so that she's in that. And I guess, from what I understand of the character, she's from that mostly. So Titania is just like a big, strong, like, we'll say the
titanium made woman.
No, she's not.
No, she's not
from what I understand, she's just uber strong, uber indestructible. Like that's her power. Gotcha. So, which makes sense. She's a Hulk villain. That's a good Hulk villain or whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, she's fighting this guy, the Absorbing Man or whatever, and he's married to Titania. And as she's beating up the Absorbing Man and breaks his jaw, Titania comes out and is like, "What are you doing to my husband?" And then you think, "Oh shit, she's gonna like throw the smack down because you just broke her husband's jaw, and it's your husband, and you're a bad guy." But that's not what happens.
Yeah, she takes his big thing and is like, "Let me handle this, babe."
And then she throws it away and hits her husband in the face with it. As she swings it around real fast and then throws it at her husband's face and knocks him out. Keep in mind, he has a broken jaw.
Yeah.
And it's her husband. She's a bad guy and Thor's a good guy. So Titania is like, "We're not going to fight today because you're a woman, Thor,
and I respect
what you're doing. And so today you get a freebie from me. So like no fighting or I'm not going to fight you."
At least on her. I mean, Goddess Thor is like, "Well, you doesn't think I'm just going to let you go, right?" Like she's still like, like this isn't, that's not how this works.
Sure. But I'm not talking about Thor's perspective here.
No, the villain's perspective is very weird.
It's very weird to have your villain just, you know what,
girl power.
Never mind.
Because she even says that. She says, this one-time girl power pass, and it's like, but you're a villain.
Yeah. It'd be like if the Joker was like, "Oh, I heard you had a bad day, Batman. You know what? Free day from me, all right? I'm not gonna kill you today.
Yeah. Try to.
Yeah. Or like I'm in the middle of like murdering Jason Todd with with a crowbar, and then I stop before I hit him and go, "Oh, you know what? I see that it hurts your feelings, and I had problems with my dad too. I'm just gonna leave it at that."
You get a pass today.
Yeah.
He gets to live another day.
I don't know. It's just weird to see. Like, it's a villain. Just fucking let them be villains. Let her earn her fucking goddess power with kicking villains' asses, just like every other character does. I don't understand. Like, I was telling John, like, Wolverine doesn't become badass because the villains go, "Oh, Wolverine, oh man, I like your style. I ain't fighting you." No, they fucking fight him, and then you find out he's badass because he fucking tears Apocalypse's face off, or whatever,
Or he gets knocked down a couple times. He doesn't always win, and he has to learn from mistakes. And
not that should have happened in this because it's Titania, but like it's way cooler to see a a superhero beat the fuck out of a bad guy, justifiably, as opposed to the bad guy being like, never mind. Like, that doesn't earn them anything. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't earn Thor and it doesn't earn Titania anything. You're basically saying they're like, I don't know. They're not really bad or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. It's a weird thing, and it's kind of more common nowadays to have bad guys that aren't bad. They try to like reform everybody. Like they give them a backstory that's like, well, you know what? I mean, this happened one time, and it was good. Like with Mr. Freeze,
Yeah.
where you're like, okay, he's trying to help his wife. And that's the only guy I really want to see that happen to. Like everybody else, you understand why they're a villain. Like, oh, Harvey Dent was this, and then he got acid thrown in his face, and he was like, fuck the justice system, and I'm the judge, and I have a coin that's the judge or whatever. Like, but he's never like, you're never supposed to be like, oh, but like, he got acid thrown in his face, so like, what?
No, he left that behind. Like he made his choice.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I don't like it when they do that nowadays, where like, not every villain needs to have a sad backstory that you're supposed to empathize with or whatever. Like,
What are you talking about?
they could just be bad people who are bad. And yeah, they can still have a past that you understand why they're bad, but they still made that choice and they like should stick to it. You know what I'm saying? Like the Joker can't just reform all of a sudden and you go like, oh, you know what? Water under the bridge. Remember when you beat Jason Todd to death? You know what? It's fine. Don't worry about it. That was a long time ago now. So like shit like that. He's back now. So water under the bridge. Who cries about spilled milk? You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, like, or spilled brains, whatever. Like, so yeah, I don't like it when they make bad guys not bad guys, and then especially in this, I felt like this was a good time to like earn or have like her moment of her being badass and like earning like a cool thing or like a moment where she could actually earn this like victory where maybe Titania says like, a woman Thor, like, maybe she is on her side, but she still fights her or something. You know what I mean? Like, instead of just allowing her to, like, punch her in the face and send her back to prison or whatever. Like, I don't know. It's just a weird moment. So, that's basically what happens in this one. I don't even remember if there's anything else that matters. Oh, like, they set up the next storyline with, like, Odin's brother coming in, and he's, like, the god of war, basically. So, that's bad news. And he actually, I was saying, like, now that is what a bad guy's supposed to look like. Because, like, Malekith looks like a trickster or whatever and like not really evil, but this dude, when you see him, you're like, oh shit, that guy is a bad guy because he looks like fucking Ares did like in the Wonder Woman arc or whatever. Just like he's got a big fucking axe, he's got braided goat or mustache and goatee or whatever. Like he's got all this
glowy
badass armor, he's got evil glowy eyes and a sinister smile.
Exactly. Yes, very much
so yeah, like he's got the Jack Nicholson smile, right? When that guy smiles, it's not good. Even if it's in a good movie, he still looks evil as fuck. So, like that's what I want to see in a bad guy. I want a guy or a person who's not, just doing it because they're down on their luck or whatever. Yet they're still murdering people or whatever. Like I don't know.
Those are good, but yeah, the fact that you can't make everybody have that.
Yeah, the problem is they're doing it with like a lot of villains and not just one or whatever. So. You got to separate them. You got to have here's the real bad guys. I don't want to like. It's great that they made Thanos like kind of. This is a good example. Thanos in the movie was like, "Hey, I'm doing this because I think it's best for everybody. If I kill, half the universe, and maybe it technically is like in the scope of things, but you're still killing everybody, so we have to stop you. You're not supposed to like feel bad." When he vaporizes everybody or whatever. Or I'm sorry, you're not supposed to feel bad for him because he vaporized everybody. Yeah. So like I feel like the movies did that justice where you understand where he's coming from, but you don't
But you do not
agree with him.
You never agree with Thanos still, yeah.
And they show like the impact of that like on Hawkeye and stuff, and you're like, I like Hawkeye and his family fucking disappeared. And that is a bad thing, Like so that's where I'm like, okay, I like that, but they don't do that. They go one step further and go like, and also Thanos had a bad childhood and his dad hit him too. And that is why you're supposed to feel sad for him now. Or, like, and whatever. Like they retconned him so that he's, not really a bad guy. He's just misunderstood or something, So that's basically
Thanos just got in with the wrong crowd.
Yeah. But anyway, back to this comic. That's basically like the end of this. There's some more conniving where like, Freya and Odin are kind of talking behind each other's backs about, how they either one of them are actually the true king and stuff. And then we see like his brother Cole Borenson, the god of fear. I'm sorry, not the god of war. The god of fear is, has maybe ulterior motives that will come back to bite Odin in the butt.
Yeah.
But that's basically it. So, with that being said, John, I know it sounded like we complained a lot about this issue or this trade, but I don't want everybody to think we're just hating on it or whatever. Like, these are valid criticisms to be of the storyline in continuity with Marvel stuff. So that's my main issue with it, is the like continuity stuff that I'm like, you're not explaining this well enough, or at least for me to buy it,
Yeah.
So with that being said, John, what would you give it? What would you think?
Well, I will say caveat. I'm definitely still going to go back and read the Gore of the God.
Yeah, and I would too.
I mean, maybe we'll even check it out on the podcast. We'll see. Maybe if you guys want us to do it. But like overall, I didn't hate it, and I didn't love it. It's definitely a middle one for me. The art the art of the arc was great.
The first four.
The art changes, and it's not bad. It's just, it definitely is like lackluster comparatively. But the look of Goddess Thor is fantastic. Like you said, it's a great character design. I liked most of the fights. I don't think I had quite as many myths about it that Matt did.
I will say this. I think it's because, and I don't mean this in like a bad way or whatever, but you are a giant MCU fan, and that is very MCU.
Yes.
Like the quipping in between fights. I like, like when the Spectre is fucking murdering someone, I don't want him to be like, I can't wait to eat Pop-Tarts or whatever. I just want badass scene to be a badass.
And I can agree with that, especially like from what we read. Like, yeah, it would be weird if from the Spectre the Spectre specifically that we were reading, like it would be weird for him to be like,
but even Animal Man or whatever, when his arm gets ripped off, he's not like,
oh, yeah,
whatever, like, oh no, how am I gonna butter toast or whatever, whatever the fuck, it's a weird thing.
So I don't think I acknowledged it as much at first, but yeah, definitely upon going back over this with you, I mean, definitely I could see that, especially when she's like, yeah, like I am goddess of Thor, and I'm gonna like destroy you, and then she's like, wow, I am gonna do this. That is a little. I was like, oh, I guess I didn't like.
She's not a child.
I probably went over it
Spider-Man.
too fast, but yeah, I definitely could see that taking you out.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think because a lot of the people who are gonna read this arc later or whatever, and also at this time, this is from 2015. They are MCU directed comics, so you are getting the movies influencing the comic speak more now because of that.
And that's probably why you have, and it's unfortunate to say that you have some of this divide within fandom, is like, because people that want the movies to be like the comics, but then they're not like the way the comics were initially, and then like you go back and forth with this a lot. I won't get into all that, but I would say overall I still enjoyed this. Just getting back to the core of it, and I liked the Goddess Thor. I definitely would like to see her grow more and like see where her character goes. I guess kind of see like Thor. This is obviously Thor's rock bottom, and he's like, I am not worthy of Mjolnir. I see that he's gonna basically kind of go forward and be like, I am just Odin's son.
Right. Oh yeah, that they end up calling him Odin's son, distinguishing him from Thor.
So I'll be interested to see like where his arc goes as far as like what he rediscovers about himself and where he goes from there. I am curious about all that still, because I like the characters enough. So I would give this one a 6.5.
All right.
I think it's worthy enough. It is worthy enough. And like I said, I like the art enough. Like it kept all the story was enough to keep my interest and be like, okay, like I'm curious where that would go, where this would lead.
Okay.
And I think because it was such a short arc, technically, like not much happened. This was like one really long introduction to a character.
Yes.
It falls into that.
If this was a 60s comic, it would be half the issue would have been these four or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm going to give this a 5.
Okay.
I didn't hate it. I just thought there was too many like continuity or like things that just didn't fit right to me, like with the story plot and stuff. I like the idea of this storyline, like the idea that what would Thor really have to do to hit rock bottom? And I don't think it would be someone saying gods don't care about people or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, because, okay, example, in the 70s or maybe in the early 80s, Tony Stark hit rock bottom as Iron Man. Do you know what that was? Him realizing that he's a horrible alcoholic. It's an issue called Demon in a Bottle.
Demon in a Bottle, yeah.
And the cover of that is him with a bottle of alcohol. He's unshaven. He looks like he's been on a 20-day bender. He is not in a good place at all. He's not joking. It's a very serious thing, and that is why I think that's why Rhodey ends up taking over as Iron Man for him, because of this whole story arc. And like, I don't know, it was taken seriously that this is your rock bottom, and there's like, it's a consequences, you know, this means something. And I feel like this doesn't mean anything really. Like, there's no teeth to what's going on. You know, she is the goddess of thunder, but in her mind she's quipping. The story doesn't quite make sense fully in my mind. Like, he didn't do good enough job like plotting this arc, or like the reason why this would happen, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you know, I just feel like there just need to be more explanation on some of these things. And then things like, we're going to have the Avengers be frozen when she gets there, but we're not going to show that battle. We're not going to show, maybe she should show up in the middle of that battle before they get frozen. And something happens where she has to leave, and then she comes back and they're frozen, or something, you know what? I don't know.
Or
But
she gets there just at the moment where they're like,
as they're frozen.
yeah, and then she's like, "Wow."
Yeah. You know, like in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, I just read that book. So not my favorite book either, but there was a scene where they go to fight. The kids go to fight at the end, and like they hear a battle, and as they get there, it like cuts in time. Like, there was time between them hearing it and getting there, and you see there's already like half the battlefield's like frozen. And you're like, oh shit! Like, you know, they could have done that where like a lot of the Avengers are frozen or something like that, and then people are like, who is this? Who's this woman in Thor's, like, holding Thor's hammer or whatever? You know, like that could have been the introduction. So I don't know. There's just ways I would do it better. I am not a professional comic writer, but there are just things I would like to see as a reader to make it more exciting, because there were just things that didn't make sense to me, and I wanted to like this. I mean, I think I actually do want to read the one you're talking about, like the Thor God Killer or whatever it's called, and then like I want to read what happens next. Like, how does she grow as a character? What happens with Thor and all that stuff? Like, I want to know that, but it's like, I just feel like it was very shaky ground this was like put on, as opposed to like the same year Miss Marvel came out. We read that trade, and I really enjoyed it.
Miss Marvel was very solid.
Yeah, I was like, that's a really good introduction to a character. You set up an issue, something going on, and what's like a bad guy that seems formidable to her. You know what I mean? Like, like whereas Malekith just seemed like another Loki, and I don't know. I want to see this guy fucking evil. Yeah, he cuts off his arm, but then he gets an arm in the next issue. So wouldn't it be cool if he didn't have an arm for like a long time? It wasn't just,
Thor fighting with one arm. Yeah.
Yeah, like, I don't know. They did that to fucking Arthur Curry, Aquaman,
right.
and he had like a hook on his hand, and you know that's a Peter David run on Aquaman that everybody says is good. So I haven't read it because I don't care about Aquaman, but we will get there one day because John likes Aquaman. So
I do like Aquaman.
But yeah, like, I don't know. It just didn't hit with me. Like, the storyline I thought could have been way better and more interesting. But what I did like, I liked a lot. Like, I liked when she talks as Thor with that Thor old English speak. God damn, it sounded cool. I wanted more of that. That's why I was like, she's so badass. Why are you taking away her badassness with like the weird inner dialogue that's like teenager speak from, you know, nowadays as Jane Foster? It's just weird. I don't know. That was just my hang up on it a lot. And then I don't know. It's some of this, the way that bad guys behave, I fucking hate in nowadays comics. Just, I want them to be bad. I want them to be evil. I don't want, like when Thanos is Infinity Gauntlet in the comic, he's willing to kill everybody for his love death. And you can understand that because you're like, I know what love is, and I understand, but like, I would kill for my wife maybe, but like, it's not okay that he's doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like, with this, he's not going to be like, hey guys, or like the bad guys aren't going to be like, you know what, it's fine, I'll give it up because I understand it's wrong or something. You know what? It's just, I want an actual bad person with teeth that can like kill people and murder them, and you're like, oh shit, like, would they do something? Does it mean something? Like, if his arm got cut off, and it stayed like that for a long time, you'd be like, oh shit, that's when he lost his arm. That's like a whole big arc. Instead, it was 4 pages because within 4 pages in the next issue, he gets his arm back. So it's kind of like, okay, look, I want. Maybe that's how he earns his fucking right, his birthright back, So like, I don't know. I want to know what happens, but also I'm like, I hope it's better than this as far as plot and everything. So those are my main issues with it. Once again, I'm not trying to get political with this at all. Obviously, people have their ideas about whatever they're doing with comics and stuff. And if I don't enjoy the storyline, I'm not going to buy it. So if I had read this, and especially when I got to the last issue, I would have been like, nope, not buying this. You lost me completely on this. I don't care at all about what's going on now because I wanted to know, but now I don't, kind of thing. Like, that's if I was buying it at issues. With trades, I could go, well, at least I know it went on for like 10 more trades, so I think it must get better because everybody kept buying it and reading it or whatever. So like, there's some of that with trades where you go, oh, it went on. It didn't just end in 12 issues. Okay, It must be worth reading that.
Yeah, there's got let me look up and figure out like when people said like they really fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And yada yada.
So I have my things. I give it a 5 because I don't think it's bad, like terrible. I enjoyed what I did enjoy in it. I thought some parts were fun.
It's right along with our Batman Hush one. I think
exactly. It's a mediocre comic for me personally. And like I said, I liked Ms. Marvel a lot more. I think we gave that a 6 or 6.5. I enjoyed that for what it was as like a new, younger introduction of a character kind of thing. So, yeah. So if you hate my view on this, I'm sorry. It's just opinions. I don't hate this because she's a woman or something like that. I actually thought she was pretty badass when she was being badass, So, anyway, what were you going to say, John?
No, I was going to say, I was like, please take all of the context of us talking about this again. Because, again, we know that these kind of subjects can be touchy. But we are literally on the basis of, like, we're just talking about the story plot here.
Whatever, yeah. And also just opinions. Like, I have a different look at it than you do because you like the MCU more than I do. Or even just...
I'm ready for every new Marvel movie and show comes out. I'm excited. And I'm not automatically like, I'm still going to like watch a trailer and gauge my interest because I don't like every Marvel character.
Right.
But like I'm involved in the universe. But like Matt's like, I'll see, like if it's got good like feedback behind it, like maybe I'll check it out. Like it's not his like thing automatically.
I like the comics more than I like any other media of the thing. If there was a Spectre movie, I would be like, well, I like the comic more than I like the Spectre. It might look cool, hopefully, like I want Black Adam to do good, but I'd rather read the comic about Black Adam than I would go see the movie just because I know it's going to be watered down. It's going to be through the Hollywood lens, and they generally tend to fuck everything up, or at least in some ways, like they'll change the thing I like the most about the character or something, or they'll take this away, or they'll, whatever. I don't know. Like, I just like the thing I like from comics more than I like the other media representations of it.
For sure.
Even like the Swamp Thing TV show. It was cool to see that live or whatever, but like I like the comics 1,000 times more than I like the TV show. Same with Constantine and all that. So, it's just, it loses something in translation that I like a lot in the comics. So, but anyway, what are we reading next week, John?
Next week we are reading, we had some things planned out, so that's why we didn't get to it right away. But since half of our favorite pair, Jeff Loeb, and unfortunately we just lost Tim Sale.
Yeah, Tim Sale died 2 weeks ago now?
2 weeks ago now. We wanted to make sure to, we did a couple for some other creators that we've lost recently, and so we wanted to do one. So we thought we would finish out our Marvel Color series. We're going to do Spider-Man Blue.
Yes, which I'm actually excited about because I want to read a story with, stakes, and it seems like these ones have a lot of, like the Daredevil one had like a lot of tragedy. The Hulk one had a lot of tragedy.
Yeah, I was gonna say Captain America was a little lackluster, but like they've all been good.
Yes,
I've enjoyed them all still. So,
and the art is always fantastic.
Yeah,
so even if the story isn't amazing, whatever, the art by Tim Sale is fucking phenomenal. So. And this will be interesting because we waited the longest on this one, I think, because I don't care about Spider-Man so much. So
and I love Spider-Man.
Right. So, but just like in general, I would not bring this one up on purpose. I don't want to read that one. Let's read Daredevil or whatever. So, like, we're finally at Spider-Man Blue. we'll see how that goes. I'm sure it's better than most other comics, at least in art. So
hey, and you liked Craven's Last Hunt, and you liked the Sinister Six we read, man.
I did. I liked. Yeah, Craven's Last Hunt is an example of stakes in a Marvel comic. I fucking loved that book. I mean, and that's weird for me to say because, like I said, I don't care about Spider-Man. So, yeah, it's gonna be good. So, I go buy that. I hope they release that in like a deluxe version soon, or like reprint it or whatever. I know it was already, but it's out of print. So
yeah, I'm sure they will at some point.
Or like an absolute. That'd be like a nice, badass one.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we're gonna read Spider-Man Blue by Tim Sale and Jeff Loeb, and hopefully you guys will check that out too, because Tim Sale was an amazing artist and an amazing storyteller. And if you want to know more about him, check out all of our past issues or episodes that we've done on his stuff with Jeff Loeb. I believe there's Daredevil Yellow, Captain America White, Hulk Gray, Long Halloween by Batman.
Batman Long Halloween.
Yeah, that's right.
And then we did Wolverine Gambit or Gambit
that's right.
Wolverine,
yes.
or whatever. That was a
great
cool
one.
Actually, I got Matt a comic of that. This is right before he passed. Like I had gotten some stuff because his birthday's in August, and so like I had went out and like I found some cool stuff. I was like, oh, I'm gonna get like stuff related to our podcast this year because we've been like really hitting it hard.
Yeah,
and I've been having a good time, and I wanted to tell him how much I appreciate it. And it was literally like the next week after I bought it, I was like, oh, I'm so glad I got this. I cannot believe that happened.
Yeah, so he got me a signed version signed by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale of, I think it's issue 3 of the Gambit Wolverine series.
Yeah.
So very nice present. Thank you, John.
Of course.
And Tim Sale, R.I.P. You're amazing, and your art will live on, sir.
That's right.
So, if you guys have any comments, questions, or suggestions, you can email us at planestradesandcomicbooks, all one word, at gmail.com.
And don't forget about our YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. We've got exclusive stuff kind of running on all of them. So don't forget to check out. And with that, we'll see you on the next one.
Well, before we see you on the next one, we also have a Patreon.
Patreon. I knew I forgot.
So Patreon is patreon.com/planestradesandcomicbooks, all one word. And if you like deep diving into characters, I do a Hellblazer Matt's Minis on that. And then also we have a couple patrons to shout out for that. We have Hoku and Otaku Mike. We will be doing a poll this month again. We haven't decided what it's going to be yet, but we will decide what it's going to be on.
Yeah, we'll have it decided by next podcast for sure.
I think we want to put it out this coming week.
Yeah.
So this week we'll put it out, and you guys can vote on what we do this coming month, or this month in July, because it's already the 1st. And so you guys, if you were part of the Patreon, you get to pick. You get a shout out. You get to vote on polls that we pick an episode from. For each month, and if you're on the Matt's Minis Hellblazer tier, you also get another podcast that's exclusive to Patreon. That is the deep dive, which is we go issue by issue through Hellblazer. There's 300 issues of that, so we're on issue 26.
Strap in.
So or 27 this week. So if you guys want to join that, get on it now. Like I said, patreon.com/planestradesandcomicbooks. And with that, we will see you guys on the next one.
On the next one.
Bye.